One of the new words of appreciation that is the equivalent of amen that I learned in Nashville was, all right. All right, preach it. All right, sing it. All right. All right, Hal, play it. All right. So, feel free, as you're hearing these words that I'm going to deliver today, feel free to say, all right. All right, Eric, come on.
Amen.
Thank you.
All right. Does this mean we're done? Oh, no, I guess
There's a story there. Ooh.
Cheese touch.
Yes. Yes. Speaking of stories, isn't this an odd story? Have we all heard it, or some folks not heard it? Story of the Gerasene demonic. It's an odd story. Most of Jesus' stories that he tells are odd stories. And let's be honest, the story of the gospel is odd. It's an odd story. The theme of the General Assembly down in Tennessee was "Tell it," with an exclamation point. Tell it. Tell the story. One of the stories that was told in a worship service. Preacher, all right. Fred Craddock. What a delight. Fred told this story. After visiting a congregation to preach one Sunday, he was invited by the pastor to lead a Bible study in the afternoon at the local prison. Fred arrived and asked where the group was in their Bible study. They were just beginning the account of the Gerasene demonic. One of the inmates then read the story. When he was done, all eyes turned to Fred. Fred's eyes turned to the inmates. Silence. Well, said Fred, I didn't come here to tell you all what I think. Silence. More silence. Some fidgeting. More silence. Finally, one inmate cleared his throat and said, "That's the damnedest thing I've ever heard." Now keep in mind, this is in a disciples' worship service. 5,000 people. That's the damnedest thing I've ever heard. Well, let's be honest. How many of us would go to a foreign country and strike up a conversation with a man possessed of demons and unpossessed of clothing? Imagine stepping onto that foreign land for the first time and having that man fall down before you and shout at the top of his voice, "What have you to do with me, child of the Most High God? I beg you, do not torment me." Well, if you're like me, you'd be thinking, you got that backwards. Shh, shh, shh. You're tormenting me with this display. Can you just point me to the nearest Starbucks? My guess is that none of us would hang out with this odd fellow, let alone return to his digs at the cemetery. I often run around Weston Cemetery, and I have yet to encounter a naked man dashing in and out of the tombstones. Maybe Rensselaer doesn't have a local demonic. Maybe I should run out to Memory Gardens? Any demons hanging out there running around naked? Maybe we don't have to go very far at all to find the demons. Maybe the demons live right next door, those neighbors. Maybe the demons live right inside us. Assuming you don't call the police to deal with the naked lunatic that confronts you, how then do you strike up a conversation with this person? Well, keep it simple. The first thing that Jesus says to him is, "What is your name?" What is your name? But Jesus is not looking for a response like, "My name is Eric." Just as the demonic didn't say, "What have you to do with me, Jesus?" Jesus, the demonic says, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God?" Jesus is looking for our name. The name that defines us, shapes us, and makes us who we are. If on meeting you for the first time I said, "My name is Eric," you probably wouldn't learn much about me from my name. You may project some traits and characteristics upon me based on other Erics in your life. Perhaps some flaws from some unpleasant nephews named Eric. But that would be me. Brotherage isn't much help either, at least in our cultural times. But if you go back several hundred years and go across the Atlantic Ocean to England, Brotherich would imply being in some relationship to the farms owned by the local abbey or monastery. I am Brotherich. Oh, you're a farmer. Isn't it amazing how this church in a farming community is coincidentally served by a brotherage? I find that amazing. Legion, replies the demonic. Legion. The author of the text gives us some more information. For many demons had entered in. Legion. Does legion mean possessed by many demons? If so, how many demons? And what type of demons? There aren't too many boys or girls named Legion in our culture. A good thing, too. Because all that comes up for me when I hear the phrase Legion are bad horror movies, and even worse, a movie with Russell Crowe starring as a gladiator. But maybe this movie with Russell Crowe starring as a gladiator can give us a place to begin to relate to how a first century hearer of the word legion would understand that name. What was Maximus, the name of the character that Russell Crowe played? What was Maximus in the movie? He was a general. A general of what? A general of Roman legions. How many men were in a legion? 6,826, a nice round number. 6,100 foot soldiers and 726 horsemen. As an aside, to illustrate the power of a name, does anyone remember the name of the evil emperor Joaquin Phoenix played in the movie Gladiator? Come on, movie buffs, help me out here. Emperor Commodus. Commode. Emperor Commode. Ah, what's in a name? So how many demons? 6,826, to be precise. What kind of demons? Well, the author tells us what kind, in case we can't figure it out from the name Legion. For many times, the demons had seized him. He was kept under guard and bound with chains and shackles. But he would break the bonds and be driven by the demons into the wilds. Unpleasant demons. Those who make up the legions of Rome, especially if they are occupying your homeland. The author of this story in Luke creates some slapstick humor for his readers. I didn't hear anybody chuckling as Sharon read it. Think about it. Members of the Roman legions wore the armored gold and scarlet colors of the Roman Empire, and they paraded up and down Main Street. This man named Legion runs around naked in a cemetery. People hearing that in the first century would be laughing. Any pig farmers in the house? Any ex-pig farmers? Can pigs fly?
I haven't seen any.
No is what I was looking for, yes. Can pigs swim?
I think they can.
Yes. All right. Pigs are excellent swimmers. Excellent swimmers. So how is it then that all 6,826 pigs drown when pigs are such excellent swimmers? Maybe I'd drown too if I was happily nibbling on some Gerasene grass, and then the next thing I knew in my little piggy brain is wham! Where did that even come from? And rather than this little piggy going to market, I'm driven by the crazy thought to go take a dip in the Sea of Galilee, only to find that, oh my goodness, I can't swim after all. And why pick on pigs? How rude. Just imagine the price of bacon after that happened. Surely there were goats in the vicinity. Maybe even 6,826. Why not sheep? Any military history buffs in the house? Anyone know the name of the Roman army legion that was stationed in Galilee and the surrounding areas in the time in which the Gospels were written? The Legio Ten Fretensis. Translated means the 10th Legion of the Sea Strait, a very famous legion. Take a wild guess as to what one of the symbols you found on the standards of the Legio Ten Fretensis. The pig. Is this story sounding a little less odd? This is not a story, even the damnedest thing ever heard, about an exorcism by Jesus the super healer. It is a story about Jesus freeing those who come to him declaring, Son of the Most High God, free me from the chains, shackles, and bonds of the legions of the Caesars of this world. This is a story of high treason. Well, what might this call for being freed sound like in today's language that we all could understand? How about this? Free me from the political systems that oppress me with their talk of raising the debt ceiling on a debt that already stands at over $14 trillion. Free me from a budget where 1 out of every $4 I send to Washington, D.C. goes to the military-industrial complex. Free me from an economy where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, where 10% of the population owns 75% of all the wealth. Free me from a system of media that inundates me with choice upon choice and channel upon channel, yet everywhere only serves up poop and pablum. Free me from religious doublespeak that declares this table is open for all and excludes some people from full participation in all of God's created order. Free me from the wires of the wireless world, where the story of my life must only be in Facebook status updates and 140 character tweets on Twitter. Free me from the horrors, the nightmare of the American dream that always demands do, and more, just so I can earn a real wage that is less than the real wage my father earned 50 years ago. Free me from the left, free from the right, Free me from the lukewarm middle. Jesus, I could name 6,216 other reasons, but I'll keep this request simple. Jesus, Son of the Most High God, set me free. Anybody here a little irritated by what they just heard? Anybody a bit fearful of what we just heard? I can understand irritation. If I were one of the swine herders, I'd be a bit irritated too if Jesus just sent my livelihood to the bottom of the Sea of Galilee. As for the fear, is it any wonder that the author of this account in Luke ends this story the way he does? He writes, "Then all the people of the surrounding country of the Gerasenes asked Jesus to leave them, for they were seized with great fear." Well, wait a minute. Just a little while ago, you had a naked lunatic running around in your midst. Surely that was enough to scare the daylights out of you. But now that you get a glimpse of real freedom, freedom from everything that you allow to rule your lives, why? That's scary. This is an odd story. The Gerasene is crazy, yet asks Jesus to set him free. All the people are normal and ask Jesus to leave. It has often been said, if you are comfortable, you are not being Christian. In his place, St. George Bernard Shaw writes, "Must then a Christ perish in torment in every age to save those that have no imagination?" Yep. It happens all the time. Christ is asked to leave because we're too afraid of the infinite possibilities that he offers. We prefer the comforts of the familiar because, well, those comforts are all we know. I invite you to imagine life differently. In this world, pigs can swim. Imagine if pigs could fly.